and they know that you're on the same side, and they look up to you, and they're right. They're right. So it's hard to stop the energy here. It's like trying to stop a train with your hands. But I do want to change the tone slightly, because when we had a conversation yesterday, I realized it all started very personally for you. A niece or a second cousin in your family? Tell us briefly the story that you were 14 back then, and so was she.
I had a relative who was a victim of these rape gangs in my hometown of Luton. Do you know what's crazy is, do you know how many girls I went to school with who have been victims of these gangs? I don't think anyone quite understands the scale of the rape of Britain. That's why I called my series The Rape of Britain. And it was personal to me. And many of the things have been personal to me. Do you know, I gave a presentation. That interview that you saw earlier with Israel Shalom was a presentation at Oxford University. And I walked into Oxford University, it was a crowd, it was a large crowd. They hated me. They absolutely hated me. I was getting booed, I was getting hissed. When you go to Oxford University, it's one of the best debating chambers in the world. You go for a 3-course meal. I didn't get invited for any meal, okay? I went and I walked in and they hated me. And I stood up and told my story. And what I said to him is, I want you to think about where you live, but you don't live where I live. You haven't experienced what I've experienced. So I went through my life, and one of those things was the fact that my relative was raped, and she woke up being raped by loads of bearded Muslims, and she run naked as a child. She was then hooked on heroin. She would end up climbing out the window to get back to the Islamic rape gangs, yeah? What did the police do? Nothing. They labelled her a drug addict. She was a child. So this prostitution, this rape has gone on across our country, but all of these issues have been personal to me because I've grown up in a town plagued by these problems. And now, all the things I warned about 15 years ago, I didn't have a crystal ball. I just experienced it. And I knew that Luton was a blueprint for the rest of the country. So the problems that I saw in Luton, the whole country now sees. It's happening across our whole country. And all the things I talked about have been proven as factual. Where I remember sitting on TV and doing interviews with Jeremy Paxman, where they were looking at me with such contempt when I was trying to discuss these issues. And none of those videos have aged well for them. And they've aged well for us, and I don't take any satisfaction in that. I just wish that 10 years ago, or longer, that they would have listened. Because how many more girls could have been saved? We could have addressed these issues. We've been trying to highlight these problems.
As you were speaking, I got this text message from Amiad. Amiad is here. Jewish man arrested after his Star of David antagonized protesters. Is that something that happens in England? Do you understand what the issue was about? So a Jewish man was accused for wearing a Star of David because that antagonized other people. So I tried to. Do you not remember the demonstration in London? Was it organised by Gideon or something? No, I can't. And then that same gentleman. So I went to a demonstration in London, an anti-Semitism demonstration, and I went to report on it as a journalist. And when I turned up, the police come in and said, "You need to leave London." I said, "I'm here to do my job as a journalist, please. I'm here at work." And then as I went to leave, I was attacked by the police. I was pepper sprayed. I was arrested at the request of the organiser of the demonstration, apparently. Now, that same organiser of the demonstration didn't request that the far-left groups, The Guardian, who continued to attack Israel, they didn't request that any of them were prevented. So, what the gentleman's making a point of, I believe that the police then told that Gideon a few weeks later, "You are visibly a Jew. You can't walk down here." Yeah? Now, how can it be provocative to walk the streets as a Jew? That's when we know we've got a problem. We spoke about the Tel Aviv football match, so I just want to make something clear about the Tel Aviv game as well. I wasn't calling for go as a journalist and I'll document what it's like. Do you know what's insane? The media and the Muslim politicians are trying to blame the Israeli fans for what happened in Amsterdam when there was an orchestrated and organised mass attack against Jews. A massive organised attack against Jews, but that is where they just totally twist the story. So again, I think what's happened recently is the Birmingham police have basically said that Jews are not safe in Birmingham, which we know anyway. I think most people know that. We're going to take questions from the crowd. It's a very big crowd, so we asked anybody with a question who we point at
should go to one of the aisles. We'll reach you with a microphone. State your name, where you're from, and a question, please. Not a speech, but I think the first question, Shefi, do you have a question? If not, your second, think about one, and we'll get with the microphone to you. There. Susie, here in the front line, please, with the microphone. They're supposed to be...
Who's got the microphone?
The microphone? The microphone.